the PowerPoint, and we'll talk about connective tissues. Somebody trying to get in? Nope. Okay. So connective tissues have protein fibers and a ground substance and specialized cells. Let's see what that means. What do they do? We'll see what the ground substance is in a moment. So cartilage is found on the end of bones and so on. It physically protects. Adipose tissue can store calories, and there's cells that will kill microorganisms that get into that tissue. So your epithelial tissue sits on connective tissue throughout your skin. In your gut, your epithelial tissues sit on the basement membrane, which sits upon the structural framework of connective tissue. Okay, so let's look at these categories. So we're going to talk about loose and dense. Those will be on WebAssign. They have fibers and ground substance. So if you look at Jello with grapes in Jello, the cells are the chondrocytes, and the Jello is the framework that has fibers in it and a ground substance or a jelly-like material. Blood and lymph are also considered connective tissues. That's cartilage and bone. Okay, so connective tissue has cells that are surrounded by fibers and a syrupy ground substance. So let's look at connective tissue proper. So there'll be pictures of this to identify on WebAssign. So this is loose connective tissue. Notice that there are collagen fibers and there are elastic fibers. And it contains fat cells. Here's the fibroblast that makes the fibers. There's a macrophage in there to take care of any invaders. There's going to be white blood cells, blood vessels. So this is loose connective tissue, and this is found just below the epidermis in the skin. Okay, so a loose connective tissue just beneath the dermis of the skin. Fat tissue is adipose, and dense connective tissue is in the dermis and tendons and ligaments. We'll get an example of that coming up. So here's our loose connective tissue again with collagen fibers, fibroblasts, elastic fibers, and a white blood cell, which is there to make sure there's no bacteria infecting this loose connective tissue. Adipose tissue looks like a network of, or a net, and all you see are the cells full of fat. Dense connective tissue is collagen fibers packed very closely together with nuclei, and this is found in tendons, ligaments, and in another type of dense connective tissue found in the dermis. So these tissues are very, very strong. There are many, many layers that can distribute force applied to them. So tendons will hold the muscle to the bone, and ligaments will hold the bones together. Blood and lymph are considered connective tissues. So in the blood, you have cells and you have plasma, the ground substance. Bone and cartilage also support. Bone is collagen fibers plus calcium salts. Cartilage is chondrocytes within a firm gel. So we're going to look at three types of cartilage. It doesn't have any blood supply. It's surrounded by a perichondrium. And we're going to have hyaline cartilage, which is found on the ends of all bones, elastic cartilage, which is found in your ear, and fibrocartilage, which is found in the cartilage in between the vertebra in your spine. So hyaline cartilage has a ground substance, the syrupy fluid in which the chondrocytes live and produce. So hyaline cartilage is going to be involved in all synovial joints. Elastic cartilage looks like hyaline, except it's full of elastic fibers. And it's found in the ear, primarily the only place it's found. Fibrocartilage has collagen, a lot of collagen fibers with chondrocytes. The lacuna is where the chondrocyte lives and where it produces these collagen fibers in order to keep the structural framework of the cartilage intact and to make sure you have a good separation and that your spine is flexible and supported at the same time. A bone is going to have collagen fibers with calcium salts to make it hard and to resist compression. So if you look at a bone, this is compact bone. This is called a Haversian system, or this is the blood vessels and the nerves. The osteocytes live in these little chambers, and they communicate with one another with these canaliculi. So when oxygen is available, it has to flow through these little tunnels called canaliculi so that all of the cells in their little houses, lacunae, can get oxygen. When CO2 is produced, that CO2 flows through the canaliculi tunnels and to get picked up by veins and to keep the bone healthy. Your bones are constantly alive and growing. The central canal also has so again, a nerve and a vessel, an artery and a vein. Okay, so let's look at the 4 types of membranes. Mucous membranes, oral cavity in your airways. The serous membranes align and line the tissue around the heart, the tissue around the lungs, and the tissues around all the digestive tract. My surgery went into the pericardial sac, or the membrane surrounding the heart, and the surgeon put a window in my pericardial membrane to release fluid. He took out 400 milliliters of fluid that was surrounding my heart, and that wasn't a good idea. So, skin. The cutaneous membrane is the skin. Synovial membrane secretes a slippery synovial fluid, lubricates joints, and all of your synovial joints contain synovial membranes. So let's look at the different types of membranes. So the mucous membrane all throughout your digestive tract. Serous membrane surrounds the encasing of your heart, the membrane surrounding the lungs, and the membrane surrounding the gut. So there's mucous membranes, serous membranes. Cutaneous membrane is your skin. This is the epithelium. There's loose connective tissue below it, and then dense irregular connective tissue. So remember, these serous membranes surround your heart, lungs, and gut, and they allow movement and keep the tissue separated, and also to prevent friction. Everybody knows your lungs have to move, your heart has to move, and your gut has to move. So these serous membranes secrete a serous fluid, and that's to lubricate and prevent friction and to allow your heart, lungs, and gut tissues to move and digest and breathe and heartbeat. Okay, let's stop there. Okay. Let's stop recording for a moment.